What you're about to hear is one of the most unsettling accounts I've ever come across from the trucking world. Welcome back to Dark Echo, the only channel that delivers true horror stories. Backed by police reports, news articles, and first-hand testimony. I'm your host, and tonight we're diving headfirst into the twisted world of long-haul nightmares, where isolation, exhaustion, and unexplainable terror intersect on America's darkest roads. Every night, more than 3 million truckers navigate empty stretches of asphalt that the rest of us only pass during the day. They drive through ghost towns, forgotten highways, and black zones, where cell signals die and strange voices whisper over dead CB channels. These are the places where reality begins to bend. And some drivers don't come back the same. The story you're about to hear was verified through a combination of local law enforcement reports, investigations, and a dashcam footage leak that authorities tried to scrub from the internet. This is the true account of Walter Reed, a 28-year-old driver out of Boise, Idaho, and what he encountered on a detour he never should have taken. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a new Dark ACO upload. If this story gets under your skin, give it a like and drop a comment, especially if you're a trucker with your own tale to tell. We investigate every story submitted, and yours could be featured in a future episode. Alright, settle in, because this story will make you think twice the next time you see a road closed sign at night. Let's begin. Walter Reed had been driving OTR routes for 6 years, hauling refrigeration units across the western United States. He was known by his coworkers as steady, reliable, and a bit of a loner. He preferred to drive nights. Less traffic, fewer way stations, more time to think. It was early May 2022. Walter was running a midnight load from Salt Lake City to Reno along I-80. Weather was clear. Roads dry, and he was on schedule to deliver by morning. But somewhere, west of Elko, Nevada round, mile marker 144, he saw something that would derail his entire trip. A bright orange detour sign, flashing with LEDs, appeared just beyond a bend. Road construction ahead. Use alternate route. Walter checked his GPS. Nothing indicated construction, but the sign was official looking. Cones, barriers, floodlights. A secondary sign pointed toward County Road 147, claiming it would reconnect with the interstate 15 miles down. Walter had driven this stretch dozens of times, but he didn't remember a County Road 147. Still, he followed the signs. The detour started off like most rural backroads, narrow lanes, faded paint scrub brush on both sides. But as the miles rolled on, something felt off. There were no other vehicles, no headlights in the rear view, no signs of life, no houses, farms, not even a barbed wire fence. Just flat desert stretching into blackness on both sides. Then, Walter noticed the road surface had changed. The asphalt wasn't just cracked, it was ancient. Gray, brittle, uneven, like it hadn't been maintained in decades. And that's when he saw the mile marker, a rusted, bullet-tridden post half swallowed by sand. It read 147, not 147 miles from anything. Just 147. Walter's CB crackled to life. Channel 19, the unofficial trucker frequency. But the voice wasn't friendly. Westbound on County 147. You shouldn't be out here, Walter. Picked up the mic. This is Walter Reed in a reefer hauling westbound. What's the problem? No response. Just static. Then another voice. Different. Tone, male, older. He took the wrong turn. Tell dispatch he's not going to make it back. Walter felt the hairs on his arms rise. Checked his mirrors. Still no lights behind him. No sign of any other truck. He switched channels, trying 9, 13, even the emergency frequency. All static. No chatter. That's when he saw the first light. Not headlights. A lantern swinging slowly in the distance, off the side of the road, maybe. 200 yards into the dark, someone walking through the scrub brush. Then another lantern on the opposite side, and another. Walter slowed down. At least a dozen figures were now visible on both sides of the road, all walking parallel to his truck. All carrying lanterns, Their movements were unnatural, too smooth, too in dash sync. Then he saw something that made him grip the wheel till his knuckles went white. Their faces were wrapped in cloth, gauze maybe, but crude stained, weathered, as if their skin had been peeled and covered. Some of them had no hands, just stumps where arms ended. One dragged something behind him, a long iron chain clinking with each step. Walter floored the gas. His rig screamed down the cracked road at 70 miles per hour, but the figures didn't fall behind. They kept pace, not running, not struggling, just walking. Effortlessly, silently, at mile marker 149. His dashcam flickered, static, then black. He slapped it, checked his systems. His dashboard began glitching, gauges rising and falling. Warnings. Flashing randomly, low oil, door ajar, engine overheat. None of it was true. Then the radio came alive again. "Pull over, Walter. You're leaking time."
What?
That voice wasn't distorted anymore. It was his voice. Walter's own voice speaking back to him in a perfect match. "You're late. You've been late since 3:17 a.m.? He looked at the clock. It read 3:17. The truck slowed on its own. Cruise control disengaged. Brakes squealed slightly. The road curved hard right, and that's when Walter saw the bridge. A narrow, rusted structure over a dry riverbed. No guardrails, no lights, just a sign barely legible. Mile 147 bridge out, but the road showed no sign of damage. No barriers, no cones. Walter trusted his instincts and yanked the wheel. His rig skidded sideways, barely avoiding the bridge. The trailer fishtailed and stopped inches from the edge. He got out, flashlight shaking in his hand. The bridge was gone. What looked like solid road was a black pit. An illusion, a death trap. His flashlight caught something in the sand below. Twisted metal, burned tires, dozens of them. Old trucks crashed. Wrecked. Some looked half buried, as if they'd been there for decades. He scrambled back to the cab, breathing hard. The CB came alive one last time. "Mile 147 takes what's late, Walter, and you were 6 minutes behind. You'll be back." Walter didn't respond. He reversed the truck until he could turn around and took the way he came, flooring it back toward the interstate. When he reached the junction, the detour sign was gone. No cones, no barriers. It's just clean, uninterrupted road. Back at the nearest way station, he reported the incident. The dot said there was no active construction in the area, no detours logged, no County Road 147 on the map. Walter showed them dashcam footage, but the memory card was corrupted. The file was gone. Only a 12-second clip remained, showing the cracked asphalt, the rusted marker, and a single phrase recorded over his own voice: "Time's up." Walter quit trucking 2 weeks later. He refuses to drive westbound at night, and he's currently undergoing sleep studies for persistent night terrors that began that night on the road. The most disturbing part, 6 months later, an Arizona state trooper reported seeing a truck crashed in the dry ravine under the non-existent bridge. The plates, registered to a driver named Walter, read, but his truck was never found. So if you ever see a flashing detour sign where there shouldn't be one, and the road leads to County Road 147, keep driving. Some detours don't take you around the danger. They take you straight to it. You might think the CB radio is just an old-school tool in a digital age. But for long-haul drivers, it's a lifeline. A way to call for help when the cell signal dies. But what happens when the signal you're getting isn't coming from the living? This account comes from Kenneth Jace, a 62-year-old hauler out of Tallahassee, Florida. He'd been on the road for over 30 years and treated his CB like a sacred object, always on, always tuned, always listening. In February of 2021, Kenneth was running a load of industrial motors from Dallas to Savannah, passing through the backwoods of Mississippi. At around 2:10 a.m., somewhere near U.S. Route 98, his CB buzzed with static. Then a voice came through on Channel 23. "This is Unit 17. Requesting emergency assistance. Rollover at mile marker 51. Heavy bleeding. Please respond. Kenneth." immediately picked up his mic. Unit 17, this is Gulf-bound Freightliner just past marker 44. You all right? You still there, Silence? Then the same message repeated word for word. Exact same tone. Same stuttering. Like a recording. He figured maybe it was a stuck mic or a looped transmission. But when he reached mile marker 51 10 minutes later, he saw it, a crumpled semi, overturned in the ditch. Cab crushed, emergency flashers blinking weakly, but no signs of police. Not even skid marks on the road. Kenneth pulled over, grabbed his flashlight, and approached the cab. That's when he saw the blood. The driver's door was flung open, and the ground below was soaked. A trail of bloody handprints led about 20 feet toward the woods, and then stopped. Kenneth called 911, gave his location. That's odd. We had an identical report 2 nights ago. When authorities arrived 40 minutes later, the wreck was gone. No truck, no debris, no blood. Not even tire tracks. They checked dashcam footage from Kenneth's rig, cut out from 2:09 a.m. to 2:23 a.m., just black. The really disturbing part? CB and Kenneth's cab started playing the same emergency message on channel 23 every night for the next week. At exactly 2:10 a.m., he had the unit replaced. The new one? Same. Result, Kenneth doesn't drive night routes anymore. Ask any long hauler, and they'll tell you the weirdest things happen just outside your peripheral vision. But this next account, you can't miss what this driver saw. This one comes from Samantha Drew, a driver for a produce hauler out of Denver. She was running lettuce from Fresno to Boise along US Route 95 in Nevada, a lonely, barren stretch of highway surrounded by desert and silence. Around 3:45 a.m., it's just north of Winmucca, she spotted something strange in the median. A woman in a long black dress, standing motionless in the tall weeds. She slowed, rolled down her passenger window, called out, no response. Then the woman stepped backward, away from the road, and vanished. Gone. No trees. Nowhere to hide. Freaked, Samantha drove on, but 12 miles later, at mile marker 233, she saw the same woman. Same black dress, same posture, except this time, the woman's head was tilted at an unnatural angle, as if it had been snapped. Samantha didn't stop again, but she didn't have to. For the next 57 miles, the woman kept appearing at every single mile marker, always standing in the median, and her head was slowly rotating further and further with each sighting. Until by mile marker 289, it was completely upside down. The final time Samantha saw her, the woman was directly in the road ahead. No time to stop. She braced for impact, but the truck passed right through her. There was no collision, no sound, no impact, just icy air in the cab and the overwhelming scent of decay. Samantha now refuses to drive US 95 alone at night. She's not the only one. Nevada state troopers have received over 40 separate reports of a woman in black, appearing at regular mile intervals between markers 232 and 289, always between 3 o'clock and 4 a.m., and in 2007, a driver named Rachel Moan swerved to avoid a woman in the road and was killed in a single-vehicle crash at mile marker 289. Her autopsy noted one strange detail. Her neck was broken clean through with no external trauma. Mitch Keegan had been trucking the Arizona route for nearly 20 years. A known-sense driver, he knew every rest stop, diner, and way station between Phoenix and Albuquerque. But one night, late in the summer of '97, while running a tight schedule, Mitch decided to try something new, a shortcut. He'd heard about from a guy at a truck stop in Winslow. The shortcut was supposed to shave an hour off his trip by cutting through a stretch of lesser-used highway near a place called Exit 34, a spot that wasn't marked on his GPS or any official maps. Mitch wasn't superstitious. Something about the way the guy described it, a rest stop with lights bright enough to read a book under, even at midnight, had him curious. After hours of night driving, he reached the stretch near mile marker 200, just past Flagstaff. The road was empty except for a faint glow flickering on the horizon. At first, Mitch thought it was a gas station or a diner, but as he approached, he realized this was something else. The exit ramp appeared out of nowhere, No sign, no guardrails, no map listing. The bright light spilled across the pavement, the whole area eerily well lit against the dark desert night. Mitch slowed down, his truck's engine humming, took the exit. At the end of the ramp was a rest area, spotless, quiet and bustling with people. Families, couples, truckers, all sitting on benches, some chatting, others eating, all with a strangely calm demeanor. Mitch blinked. The place was immaculate, well kept, with fresh picnic tables and functioning bathrooms. It was like stepping into a time capsule, but something felt off. The people looked almost too perfect. Their smiles were wide, their eyes glassy and unblinking. When Mitch rolled down his window, the air smelled faintly of something sweet and old, like decaying flowers mixed with bleach. He got out and walked around, trying to find a reason why this place was glowing so bright in the middle of nowhere. The night was completely silent except for a distant humming. It's almost like a low-frequency drone beneath the surface. Mitch tried to talk to a woman sitting on a bench. She smiled politely but didn't answer, just stared. When he asked if there was a store or gas station nearby, she shook her head slowly and whispered, "No one leaves exit 34. A chill crawled up his spine. Mitch stepped back into his truck, checked his GPS, still no sign of the exit. The device only showed the highway continuing straight through the desert, no off-ramp at all. Mitch tried to turn around, but the truck wouldn't budge. The brakes were locked, the steering stiff as a board. Panic set in. Through the windshield, the people started standing, their faces twisting into wide, unnatural smiles. The bright lights around the rest area intensified until everything was blinding. Voices began whispering from the shadows, soft, beckoning, calling Mitch's name over and over. He slammed his fists on the steering wheel, shouting, but the voices only grew louder. He tried to start the engine again, and finally the truck lurched forward, only to find himself back on the highway. No sign of the exit or the rest area anywhere. The glow was gone. The desert night returned. For weeks, Mitch couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. At truck stops, he saw fleeting glimpses of the smiling faces from exit 34 and reflections, but when he turned, there was no one there. He shared his story with other truckers, but most laughed it off or told him he must have been hallucinating. Then one night, Mitch heard a crackling voice on his CB, radio soft, distant, and unmistakably the voice of the woman from the rest. "Area, come back, Mitch," she whispered. Mitch never took that shortcut again. He still drives those highways, but the memory of the glowing rest area and the voices in the dark haunt his dreams, reminders that some exits are traps, and some lights are lures for lost souls. Exit 34 has become a whispered legend among the long-haul community, a spot that appears only to those it chooses. Some say it's a gateway to another realm, where the dead linger, trapped by the glow of forgotten highways. Others believe it's a snare set by something darker, an entity, feeding on the souls of truckers lost between miles and time. Mitch's story remains one of the most chilling verified encounters. Despite numerous searches, no official record of Exit 34 exists. GPS data from his run vanished from satellite archives. The glowing rest area never appears on any map, so next time you're driving a lonely highway and see a lighted exit that shouldn't be there, remember Mitch Keegan's story. Some roads lead nowhere, except into darkness. This next story comes from Kyle Beckman, a fuel hauler with nearly 2 decades of experience. He was returning from a run through Missouri, heading east on I-44, and he saw a familiar sign. Exit 119, Wickersham Road. He had taken that exit a few times before. It leads to a small truck stop, and Kyle needed a bathroom break. But this time, the exit seemed different. No streetlights, no signage beyond the single green marker. But his GPS showed it clearly, so he took it. The ramp curved down and faded from asphalt to gravel, then gravel to dirt. No truck stop in sight. No lights, no buildings, just trees. His GPS lost signal. He tapped the screen, frozen. CB was silent. Figured he must have taken the wrong exit, but when he turned around and tried to head back up the ramp, the road was gone. Just forest. He tried turning around, but the road kept narrowing, pushing branches into the mirrors. His headlights dimmed, even though the truck was still running. Then, ahead of him, he saw a road sign planted in the dirt. One of those old-style highway placards, painted by hand. It read, "Wickersham population, you." Then his truck died. Kyle grabbed his flashlight and started walking. The woods were dead silent. No bugs, no wind, no birds. That's when he saw the figures, tall, emaciated, standing completely still between the trees, eyes glowing faintly, not from reflection, but like animal bioluminescence. He turned and ran, made it back to the cab, slammed the door and tried the ignition. Again, nothing. The figures started moving closer, slowly jerking, as if they didn't quite know how to use limbs, and then the truck roared to life. Kyle slammed into gear and barreled forward through the dirt, till suddenly, just as fast as he'd entered it, the forest vanished. He was back on I-44, still eastbound. No exit behind him, nothing on the map. No Wickersham Road. He checked Google Maps. Missouri doesn't have a town or an exit called Wickersham. But the next morning, Kyle found something in his truck's trailer latch. A handmade wooden sign nailed into the rear guard. Come back anytime. Our final story comes from Eli Harmon, a livestock hauler from Nebraska. It happened near the Colorado-Kansas border, along I-70, a desolate stretch with very little around. Eli was hauling cattle overnight, stopped at a rest area around 2 o'clock. AM labeled 6B? There's no rest stop 6B listed in the DOT database. And yet, it had a parking area, vending machines, and even a clean restroom. Eli parked and used the facilities. The other trucks had their lights on, and none had moved in the 20 minutes he'd been there. He walked past a nearby cab and knocked on the door to ask for jumper cables. His radio had gone dark and his GPS was frozen. No answer. He looked inside. The driver was seated, motionless. Eyes wide, skin gray-blue, like a mannequin. Eli ran to another cab. Same thing, different truck, different driver, but same position. Same frozen skin. He walked the length of the rest stop. Every truck was occupied, and every driver was a lifeless husk. Staring forward, suddenly all their headlights came on at once. Eli sprinted to his rig, climbed in, and turned the key. Nothing then. From the darkness of the restroom building, a voice echoed across the lot. "Your route ends here, driver." Then the vending machines began humming and spitting out paper slips. He climbed out and grabbed one. On it was typed text blocky and faded. "You have been selected. Rest stop 6B requires 1 new driver per fiscal quarter." He lit the paper on fire with his truck lighter. The flames cast shadows, and in the reflection, Eli saw the other drivers getting out of their trucks. Only, they weren't people anymore. Long, jointless limbs, hollow sockets, mouths that opened too wide. That's when Eli's truck roared to life without the key in the ignition. He slammed the door, threw it in gear, and peeled out of the lot. The next day, when he tried to report the location, the highway patrol told him flatly, "There's no rest stop 6B on that stretch of I-70. Closest one is 40 miles east." Eli's dashcam footage shows 15 seconds of grainy black and white video vending machines, unmoving figures, and a flickering sign. 6B.